Coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes.
Yeehaw! She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes.
Whoa, back.
She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes.
Whoa, back.
She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes.
Well, folks, welcome to Liarsville and the world-famous Liarsville Hippodrome! You better listen to her with that sign or she is going to be an absolute menace about it, all right? You're milking it. Well, tell me, are any of you folks from out of town? Yeah. Well, you see, we like to joke around here, but I want to remind you that this is an actual historical location. Now, 125 years ago, this area was a thriving city of tents that stretched all the way from this hillside over here all the way to the Skagway River and ran for more than 2 miles along this valley floor.
Why?
Well, you see, it was the last level part of the land before the White Pass Trail began to make its steady upwards climb. So, you see, this area made the perfect base camp.
Hello!
Where thousands of people were able to enjoy their last taste of civilization, really, before heading up that trail in hopes of striking it rich. You see, here people were able to enjoy a nice hot meal. Maybe not as nice as the one you all are about to have, but still, you know, they could buy their tools and supplies at the smithy tent. They could get their laundry done. Oh, they could even indulge in a nice, luxurious bath, which I'm sure they really needed. Now, clean hot water ran $4.50 cents, and for all of you bargain shoppers out there, I'm looking at you right here. Dirty used water, that ran for, drum roll please, 25 cents. Dirty water. Well, I bet some of you folks are probably wondering, why is this place called Liarsville? Right? What's that about? Well, you see, it's all thanks to a group of professionals known to this day, really, for their honesty and their integrity. Now, who might that group of people be, you ask? Politicians! Good guess, good guess. It's not that, though.
Used buggy salesman?
Oh, also a valid guess. How about newspaper reporters? Yeah, you see, it makes sense if you think about it. Now, the Klondike Gold Rush was the biggest story of its day. In 1897, America was coming out of a depression. So, whenever 2 tons of gold showed up on the port of Seattle, a stampede began. Some newspaper reporters were asked to cover the story. And they were asked to cover it directly from these gold fields. Whenever they found out just how hard that was going to be, the trail took over 6 months to climb. They had to carry a ton of goods with them on their back. Oh. Whew. They decided that was just way too far to also be lugging around a typewriter. So, what do you do when you want to collect a paycheck, but you don't want to actually do any work?
You do a job like this.
Yes. Or you could do what they did. So, they set up base camp right here. And they started collecting all the tall tales and rumors coming down the mountain. And they wrote them up as their own eyewitness accounts of things that were happening over 500 miles away. You see, in their stories, they ended up writing about how nice a journey it was. All you had to do was just take a little cruise through the Alaskan Inside Passage.
Enjoy 12 buffets a day and nightly entertainment.
Arrive in Skagway and take a nice, easy wagon route known as the White Pass Trail.
Take a quick boat ride to Dawson, hop off the boat, reach into the ground and grab potato-sized nuggets of gold.
Put those potato-sized nuggets of gold into your knapsack and return to Skagway. Safe, sound, and extremely wealthy, all in 12 days round trip. What? What a lie! Oh, the White Pass Trail was no easy journey. In fact, it was a treacherous, narrow mountain path that skirted off the cliff sides and plunged through bog and mire. The White Pass Trail even became known as the Dead Horse Trail.
Jack London wrote, "Their hearts turned to stone, and those which did not break, they became beasts," men on the Dead Horse Trail.
So when these men turned back broken, having failed to make it over that pass, guess who they bumped into on their way down?
Who?
The very same newspaper reporters whose stories brought them here to begin with.
It's upside down, so we boo.
Well, I mean, it brings us to one of our favorite sayings here at Liarsville, which of course is, never let the truth stand in the way of a good story.
And we can cheer for that.
Well, I don't know about you folks, but I think that's about enough history. My pretty little head can't manage much more. Well, I like you folks. I think you're a good crowd. I think we should get to know them a little bit more. Well, everyone, my name is Darlene, but you all can call me Dancing Darlene because I know how to get down.
My name is Lady Nickelwise, and I'm looking to get married tomorrow. Which one of you is going to be my Disney prince?
Well, my name is Goldie Gold, and I'm not looking for much. Just a hand to holdy hold.
I'm Rascal Ricky, and you couldn't tell from this fancy mustache and professional bowler's hat, but I'm a friendly guy. Now, there are plenty of forms of entertainment.
That's right. There's dancing, there's singing, and of course there's making music.
Ah, and another form of portable entertainment is storytelling. Yes, storytelling. It's really easy to pick it up and take it with you in your head. Now, we'd like to tell you a story that we hold near and dear in our hearts here in Liarsville, and that's the story about a man named Buck and his massive Alaskan Malamute named Denali. So without further ado, we proudly present Buck and Denali's Big Adventure.
The year is 1897. It was early morning, and Buck was gripping a copy of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. The headline read as follows: Klondike Gold, 68 rich men on the steamer Portland with stacks of yellow metal. Now Buck looked at his dog now and thought to himself, we can be rich. Oh, we have to get us a ticket on the next steamer heading north, and we will strike it big. Now Buck was determined to get the gold. He harnessed an ollie, and off they went to Schwabaker's Wharf. To Schwabaker's Wharf! With steamer tickets in hand, Buck shouted, mush, mush, and they headed back to the house. The cabin door flew open as Buck entered and embraced his wife, Rose. He declared, we are going north to the Klondike to stake our claim. Rose was stunned. But Buck still asserted, we are going north, we're going to find gold, and we will be rich. So Rose started packing as Buck loaded the sleigh. 10 days later, Rose, Buck, and Denali were on the steamship Portland, along with 1,500 other eager prospectors in search of gold.
North to Alaska, we go north, the rush is on. Ooh.
As the days went by, it was clear that Buck had it. Gold fever.
North to Alaska, we go north, the rush is on.
After days and days on the steamer, they finally arrived in a town called Skagway.
Home of the North Wind.
Buck and Rose set up their camp in Liarsville, lickety-split. Rose headed in to Ma Pullen's, where she would help make pies for the winter. With visions of gold and glory in their eyes, Buck and Denali hurried to load the sled. As the sun went down and the moon came up, Denali could not believe her eyes. She shook her head in disbelief at how big and brilliant the moon was in the pretty northern sky. She howled in amazement. The wind started to blow, and the temperature dropped to 42 below zero. It was 5 a.m., and Buck checked his supplies. The Canadian mountains required each prospector to have a minimum of 1 ton of goods to cross the White Pass. Mush! Mush! Yelled Buck. Denali took off. Faster and faster they soared. Around the corner and through the trees they roared. All of a sudden, Denali came to a halt. She could smell something, oh so funny, but was not sure what it was. There was something moving through the trees. It was big and brown and carried an awful stench, kind of like smelly feet. Ew! It appeared in the clearing and, holy cow, it was a giant grizzly bear. Away! Away! Shouted Buck. But the grizzly bear held her ground. Denali was impatiently trying to pull. She knew they still had 500 miles to go to reach Dawson City. So then, Denali released her notorious Malamute howl. Can we all help Denali out? Ow! And she scared the bear away. Mush, said Buck. Mush. Denali pulled even harder than before. Those weary companions were almost to base camp, ready for dinner and rest. Denali lay down next to the sled and watched the sun go down while she waited patiently for the moon to rise. As it came up, she howled and howled. The echoes were outstandingly clear, when abruptly there was a thunderous roar. Now everyone, I want you to make your best impression of a thunderous roar as you stop on those laps you got. Down came mounds of snow and ice. It was the winter wonder, the mightiest avalanche known to man. Now Buck woke up. Heel, Denali, heel, he cried. He harnessed Denali, and they were off like a rocket on top of the drifting snow. Crash, crash, sound of the sleigh. Denali bounded forward, jumping over the rocks. Then she turned back, only to discover that the sleigh was gone. She came to a screeching halt. Puzzled and confused, she shook her head. Where did my master go, she pondered. That sun was setting, and Denali was certain the trail of 98 would find her. The sky went dark, and the moon rose, but Denali did not howl. Instead, she lay there and listened to the sounds of the night. She could hear tree branches rustling, the birds chirping, and then, thump, 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 whatever it was getting closer and closer. Denali closed her eyes, hoping that the beast would only go away, but it just got louder and louder, and then a monstrous sneeze. Denali opened her eyes and was awestruck. A humongous creature stood before her on 4 legs. It was too big to be a dog, and it wasn't coming on top of a chair. Now, she introduced herself and divulged her tragic loss of Buck. Calm down and settle yourself, the creature said in a very deep tone. My name is McKinley the Moose, and I will help you. But we will find your friend, but not tonight. We must rest now. Tomorrow we will search high and low. McKinley laid down by the towering sickly spruce. They both closed their eyes when they suddenly heard, caw-caw! Caw-caw! McKinley stood up, recognizing this, and said, Ah, George the bald eagle, meet Denali the dog who howls in the moon. Now George replied, Yes, I have heard you before, but not tonight. Denali recounted her journey to George, who happily agreed to assist in the search for Buck at dawn. The next day, the sun rose, and Denali, McKinley, and George started back down the trail. Down the hill they went, through the trees and snow. Suddenly, Denali came to a halt. She sniffed the air. It was a familiar odor. Denali looked at McKinley and said, I know this smell. It's the grizzly bear, and she isn't so nice. But McKinley in a low tone chuckled and said, it's fine. The grizzly bear is our friend. Her name is Kiska, and Kiska patrols the trail. Now Kiska peeked through the trees to say, hello, with her little sweet voice. Denali was bewildered that this bear could possibly be the same one that had stopped them on the very first day of their trip. Now McKinley introduced herself to Denali and to Kiska, and they became friends at once. Denali realized that Kiska was only trying to warn them that the winter wonder was coming. She referred to her first encounter with Kiska, and she hoped that she would remember Buck. Kiska then stood up on her hind legs and roared. Roar! I know where Buck is. Follow me. Denali, McKinley, and Kiska raced around the bend to see the glacier, and they went into the woods while George flew high to see the entire land. They could see a campfire near. Denali howled and howled when she saw the sled. She scanned the camp with excitement, but Denali could not find Buck. Now Kiska came to Denali's side and said, Buck is up through the trees. She charged toward her friend. Now Buck was glad to see Denali. He even cheered. Do you think we can help Buck out with a big yeehaw? Yeehaw! Denali ran to her sled, jumping and crying with glee. She posed to be harnessed, ready to go for that goal. But Buck didn't follow. Now McKinley thumped over to Buck and noticed that his leg was broken. He wouldn't be able to walk. Now, McKinley called out to Denali and said, Do you remember where you started out on this trail? Denali replied, Of course I do. It's the land that I know. It's my home. It's my favorite place. It is Liarsville. Now Kiska jumped up almost in a dance and shouted, I know. We can put Buck on the sled, and Denali can pull him home. Now Denali howled, Yes, Oh, yes. Now, George, you fly ahead and check that the trail is safe. Now, Denali turned back and looked at Buck, expecting his command. Buck looked at Denali and shouted, "Mush! Mush!" Down the trail of the White Pass they went swishing away. Into the town of Liarsville they came. Denali howled louder than ever. Rose came running when she heard Denali. She looked at Buck and helped him into the tent. Now, Denali turned back again to look for her friends. Kiska and McKinley nodded and promised to visit again. Several nights and several days went by until one morning Buck appeared outside the tent. Denali bounded with spirit to see her old friend back on his feet. She knew that the spring was near and the trail of 98 would call once again. Well, except it actually didn't. Yeah, they never trekked the White Pass in search of gold ever again. Their journey didn't quite turn out the way Buck had envisioned it, and he never staked his claim. However, he couldn't be more content making his permanent home in Skagway, the land that they love, the land that they know, and the land that they would never leave. Buck found his goal, all right. He found it right where it had always been. It was with him from the beginning. It took his treacherous journey on the trail of 98 to realize what he had. When the moon comes out and Denali doesn't howl, she heads to the trail to meet her friends. Kiska, McKinley, and Denali, three of a kind, but oh so different. Needless to say, their friendship would never end.
You got a friend in me. Yeah, you know that one. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Oh, you got a friend in me. Woo! You got a friend.